Good morning. What a privilege it is to listen to Deana today. She has amazing accomplishments. Her story is amazing. For those who don't know, I highly recommend getting hold of the trilogy books that she's putting out there. She's a passionate speaker, somebody who has seen challenges, and she wants you to be in a place. Well, her book is there. It's a Tragic Whispers. Is Tragic Whispers is a new one coming out? Is that the one?
The trilogy is called Tragic Whispers. The first one, Palestinian of a Broken American Woman. And the second one is in print right now. And it is a Palestinian American mother held by God, bound by addiction. And I'm
Wow.
working on the third one now.
Well, I'm so proud of you, Dina. You bring so much
Thank you.
wisdom, so much awareness, and you have a giving heart. I know that. So let's enjoy what Dina has to offer us today.
Thank you, Minesh. I appreciate that. As Minesh explained, I do have a trilogy, and it is about my life story. However, my talk, Break the Silence, actually comes from the book. And I speak to women and men from dysfunctional backgrounds, and they carry hidden effects. We all carry hidden effects of childhood trauma. And through the faith-based strategies that I have, I help us all break the cycles and we rewrite our narratives and we step into healing and purpose. And in order to do that, we first have to understand two very important items, which what is a memory and what is a hidden memory. And a memory is, well, the memories, they follow patterns. So we tend to forget neutral information. For example, Tuesday, third grade, not eventful. No one remembers that, right? But the first time we were humiliated in the third grade or fourth grade, whatever it might have been, we retain that information. We retain that emotion. And so even if you were loved, when you were loved, you're going to retain that emotion. So whether it's good or bad, if it happens once, it's an event. But if it continues to happen, it's a pattern. So those patterns can be you're unseen as a child. So that means you're more loud and boisterous as you grow up. An example would be your boss. He tells you, we need to talk about your performance. So if that happens, when that happens, then usually in our lifetime, we do get called in, but right away we might feel a tone of seriousness. It could end up being a great talk, but what we're hearing is we need to talk about you and your performance. So that can stem back from a childhood trauma, being unseen, unheard, sometimes the middle child syndrome, the fear of failure, and that's from all childhood pressure. And a lot of these memories do start before the age of 5. So, for example, I will use myself as an example. I grew up in a Palestinian American home. So there was multicultures, multiracials, two sets of rules, two sets of religions, two sets of everything. Well, my mother and father always argued, so there was always chaos in our home. And I learned through my mother's eyes and her reactions, she would always leave. So as an adult, when things were not comfortable, I would leave. I left several relationships. So, and for years, I thought, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And until I learned to stop asking, why am I doing this? I had to start asking, what happened to create me to act this way? Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? What happened to me? And through faith and reflection, I learned to rewrite my story, meaning you have to learn to name patterns and triggers. So, again, a trigger could be something that you hear or a thought that replays in your mind. Usually, a lot of times, it's a spiraling thought. What's wrong with me? Why do I do this? I'm not good enough. You know, you didn't make the cool kids club in school, so you didn't measure up. And that's what keeps playing over and over again. Unfortunately, it's the traumatic memories. And about 72% of us end up becoming addicts, or there's some type of an emotional pattern that is created. And in those domains, there is emotional, spiritual, behavioral. And again, all of those seem to have a negative effect on us. There are about 22% that do get through this. And a lot of it, I tend to follow back down to our genes, being that and the way our parents grew up. So there are addictive genes in us. There are different symptoms in us that do uh, trigger down through generations. And after researching and talking to my mother, unfortunately, it was later on in life when I was in my late 40s, early 50s, when literally I could not get high any long. I just could not get high enough to forget these memories. And mind you, I was a functioning addict. I had 5 children, 7 restaurants, 4 hair salons. Nobody knew what was going on. And those are the tragic whispers that are in your head. So when you start listening, literally listening to the noises in your head, you have to start deciphering what's really true, what's not true, and what maybe you've amplified because you didn't know the truth of the entirety of it. Okay. So when when you have these triggers and they lead to patterns, they lead to the repeated responses. And every pattern has a root. They don't just start, they do have an origin. So for many of us, you go back to your roots as a childhood, and then you try and remember. And this takes work, sometimes therapy. You might need to talk to a pastor. For those of you that don't have a faith, I invite you to come to know the Lord because His grace, believe me, was bigger than any sin I could have ever committed. But I promise you that. And it was till I got on my knees and literally had to just turn it over to Him. I started getting that clarity that I needed. And I've walked with people through this, and they too confirm that once you acknowledge what has happened and face it, there is no fear of the childhood trauma any longer. I learned to re-love my mother. I did not like her. I did not love her. I can remember telling her many times, as a lot of children will say as teenagers, I hate you. I don't want to ever be like you. I meant it. I meant it with all my heart. But I finally, through the Lord and Him guiding me, telling me, you have to find the root of what's going on. And it was revealed to me. And bless her heart, she grew up in a horrific, dysfunctional family. But I'm a baby boomer. A lot of my audience are baby boomers. For those that are not, maybe hearing the message will help you understand that you don't have to go through this because our generation is one of the last generation that will even speak about this. My mother, her mother before her, my father, him being Palestinian, you can only imagine what he lived through. But this was their survival mode, and this is what they bring into raising their children. Fortunately, my 5 children, God bless them, they're all entrepreneurs and they've come out great. So the way to break your silence is to speak out and say, there's something wrong. It's not me. It's something that happened to me. I don't understand it. And I am going to break my silence because I am going to go seek help through God, through a trusted friend, through different groups. There's many groups out there that will help, and they will help you understand what actually happened. And when you break the silence, believe me, that is your empowerment because you can start rewriting your narrative and become the person who you were supposed to be and show up 100% and be there for others that need to hear maybe your story and hear your tragic whispers so you can break the silence. Thank you.
Wow. That is pretty powerful. That is amazing. So I appreciate that
Thank
tremendously,
you.
Dina.
Thank you.
And I will talk about that a little bit more because what you said is so powerful that most people do not know how powerful it is. I'm not talking about people here generally, but everybody in general. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So that is
I do.
really, really very powerful.